Good afternoon, everybody. This is Ian Trevethan, and I am the Education and Outreach Manager for the Sternberg Museum of Natural History. And this is our afternoon live feed of From the Dome to Your Home. And what I am doing today is I'm coming back to sort of the progress on what will be an upcoming exhibit slash program, sort of traveling type of thing for our summer program, hopefully, if there is a summer. And that is our dragons. So I haven't done a whole lot since the last live feed I did with the progress of my dragon in with texture wise, but I've done enough that I think I could probably sort of demonstrate what my next step would be, which is making what I call rubber cement paint. So what I'm going to do here is flip this and set it on my cool little holder here. There we go. All right, so hopefully you can see okay here. So what I've got is a jar with rubber cement in it, and it's about basically a 1 to 3 mixture of rubber cement, and then I'm going to add mineral spirits to it. And it's not an exact science here. It's I don't know what I did with my stir stick. There it is. It's just sort of, that's not the stick I wanted. Where did my stick go? I don't know where my stick went. Oh well, I will use this anyways. So I'm just gonna sort of mix it up a little bit. And I wanna get a thick, sort of, a little thicker than milk-like consistency. So I think that's about as much as I need to add here. And then I'm gonna add my color, which in this case, I just use fairly inexpensive craft acrylic paint because it's cheap and I can buy it for about 99 cents to $1. And this color I'm going to use is vanilla. It's sort of a off-white color because I thought that would be a cool color to start with as a base. So I'm going to just sort of empty the whole thing out in there just so I know I get a good color. And I'm going to mix the whole thing, and you can kind of see it's starting to turn sort of a good sort of off-white color. So now that I've got that taken care of, let me put a little more here. So it's just a mixture of rubber cement, a little bit of mineral spirits, and a bit of acrylic color. So the next step, and so what the reason for adding the rubber cement in is because it dries once the mineral spirits evaporates. It dries and leaves a very rubbery texture. So basically what I do is I'm just going to dab it on here. Let's see if I can, there we go. So that's just going to be my base coat. And I might actually, I'll probably add another layer of brighter white on there. But that's what the stuff looks like, is, you know, it goes on. And I usually do a couple of coats because you don't want to have just one coat. You want to have it sort of feel like skin. That's one of the cool things about this mixture of paint that I made, is it doesn't, when you get 2 or 3 coats on it after the first coat is dried, it starts to feel less like foam and more like rubber. And for prop pieces like this, that's what we're going for, is we don't want people to look at this and go, oh, hey, that's a dragon that's carved out of foam. We want people to look at it and go, wow, that's a really cool lifelike creature. And so this just adds a very skin-like texture. The other cool thing about this mixture that I made up here is if I don't use it all, no big deal. I just put a lid on it. That's why I'm using a pickle jar with a screw-on lid, is I can put a lid on it and it will keep for quite a while. So it'll still be usable if I have to stop and come back to it at a later time. So, just an example of how this stuff is applied. And later on, when this stuff dries and I do a couple of other layers and get all the texturing done, I'll start adding the detail painting and shading, and that's when this thing really comes to life. And you start to really see all the details. But you can already see how much this paint brings out the details I've carved out of the foam. So it really does give it that sort of skin-like texture, even with the first coat. So there you go. Secrets of the trade that I may or may not be sworn to secrecy or have been sworn to secrecy, and now I've blurted it all out and given all of my secrets away. So now people can totally do what I do, and now I'm not special. Or maybe I am, I don't know. So here we go. And it's not, you can see I'm sort of splashing places. It's not this is not the time where I sweat the little details right now. So you can see just how much detail it adds just with one layer. So the wonder of rubber cement paint. It's cheap, it's easy to make, and it does the job. It's definitely good that it's a little warmer out today. If I was doing this a couple of days ago when it was a little cooler, it would take forever for this to dry. But luckily for me, this won't take too much time to dry. And then I can add my successive coats to it. Let me move my camera back and forward just a little bit here. Hopefully, there we go. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. And I've only done this side in texturing, so I'm not going to be able to paint this whole critter. I've got to get back to work on adding the rest of the texture over the rest of the head here. But I wanted to sort of move on and not belabor the same process I was already talking about. So I will probably, like I said, I'll follow these things up with time-lapse videos of the progress I do. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time just sort of showing you in real time the kinds of stuff, or I guess the big steps. So you understand what I'm doing, where I got the stuff from, and that sort of out of necessity, I'm using stuff that I can get access to in our current situation, where a lot of places are still closed. And, a lot of us are working within a budget. So this is a very budget-friendly coating, that makes a very skin-like coating. When the mineral spirits evaporates, it leaves behind a rubber coating that has been colored by the acrylic paint. So very, very wallet-friendly technique to create a very lifelike sculpture or prop piece, whatever you happen to be working on. Someday I'm going to build a bunch of the Jim Henson characters from like Dark Crystal and Labyrinth out of this stuff, but that's when I have a bunch of spare time and money to spend. So there you go. That's pretty much all of the area that I need to paint right now. So let me use my hand here to prop that up so you can kind of see there. That's a little better. So you can kind of see where I've gone with that. And excuse my fingers here. I will sort of switch this around so you can kind of see the details here. So I will let this coat dry. Well, I guess I want to keep it this way. And I will then go through and probably put another couple of coats over this. So this uses up a lot of rubber cement. That's the one thing, is you want to find a large quantity of rubber cement. And all I could get to today was just your regular size, jar of rubber cement that you can find at the, at Dollar General or Walmart. So there we go. So we're going to let this dry. We're going to like I said, I'll probably do a time lapse presentation of me doing the rest of the texturing and the rest of the painting, so you don't have to sit here and watch me. The other thing I want to say that's really important is I really should be wearing a respirator mask, which is normally what I do. Even though my workspace here is well ventilated, I've got several fans, I've got an open garage door here, so I've got a lot of ventilation. Normally I would be wearing a respirator, but because I'm doing a live feed and you have to hear and understand me, I'm not going to do that, just because all you would hear would be, and that doesn't make for a very good instruction or informative video. So if anybody is inspired to try to make something like this at home, using some of the things I've been showing and sharing, just be sure to wear the proper equipment, always wear safety goggles, do the proper protective equipment to keep yourself safe. Okay. So if there are any questions, let me see. Let me check the comments and see if there's anything. Okay. So if there are questions, feel free to put them in the comment section, and I will do my best to address them as time goes on. This is going to be a quick live feed because my daughter's off camera over here being a goof, and I don't want to make you sit here and watch me paint this thing. So we will check in tomorrow afternoon, and until then, please share and like our feeds, and if there are any comments or anything, feel free to leave them, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you, and have a great rest of the day.